Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Waking up in the dark, parts of a Raleigh neighborhood are without power after a crash. This is a live look right now at that scene from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, when crews say they'll have that outage restored.
And we're tracking a stormy pattern at times as we go through the middle of the week. We'll time that out and show you the odds of anything developing in the tropics into the weekend coming up.
Seat up for grabs. Senator Thom Tillis announces he will not run for re-election in next year's midterms. The power battle as both parties look to gain control over the seat. Good morning, everyone. Here back with you on this Monday morning at 4:30. I was off for a little bit last week and good to be back with you. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan, and it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
We could have used some ice last week around here.
I know.
It was so
I missed all the hot and humid weather. Took off for a vacation for Iceland. Good timing on our part is what I say.
I would say. We'll hear about that. And Chris Michael's over in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with, this is the landfall you're going to talk about here.
Yeah, so Barry formed over the weekend. In case you missed it, we're getting you caught up on this Monday morning. So that was Tropical Storm Barry at one point. Now it's a tropical depression in the process of fizzling out. 20% chance of development off the East Coast late week into the weekend. Don't go canceling any plans several days out. This may just mean increased storm chances along the coast. Be checking back for updates on the WRAL weather app. Stepping outside this morning, it feels tropical. The dew point at 72, the air very sticky. So once again, it's that heat and humidity that we've been tracking over the past few days. High temperatures into the mid 90s, the heat index climbing into the triple digits. So no, not feeling like Iceland. Sorry, Renee. We got some storms that are going to be tapping into this cold front here heading into Tuesday. We'll time that out coming up in your complete forecast.
Chris, thank you. We have breaking news. Part of a Raleigh neighborhood is without power after a driver hit a utility pole this morning. WRAL's Ali Kadlubar joins us from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker over on Everett Avenue. Ali, what can you tell us about the repair work that's happening right now?
Yes, Renee, Duke Energy crews are actually working to replace a whole utility pole right now, working to restore power to 46 Duke Energy customers. Now, here's what happened. This is video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker around 1:30 this morning. Raleigh police tell us this car you see on your screen ran into a utility pole. You can see it also hit a fence in front of a home. Police say no one got hurt. Nearly 50 Duke Energy customers did lose power in this neighborhood. The outage map says it is expected to be restored by 4:45 a.m., but we see that utility pole has not gone up just yet, so that may be delayed a little bit for the people in this neighborhood. Of course, we are still working to learn the extent of the damage and what led up to this crash. Reporting in Raleigh, Ali Kadlubar, WRAL News.
This morning, senators plan to vote on amendments to President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill at the U.S. Capitol, where you're looking live. Their marathon debate on the bill ended early this morning. Senate Republicans want to get President Trump's sweeping domestic policy package passed by this Friday, July 4th. Democrats delayed debate for around 16 hours over the weekend by forcing the clerk to read the 940-page plan aloud on the floor. There have been a few Republican holdouts on the bill, including North Carolina's Senator Thom Tillis. He says Republicans are breaking their promises when it comes to health care.
As the Senate begins voting on President Trump's big, beautiful bill later this morning, we have learned that Senator Thom Tillis will not be seeking re-election next year. The announcement could have big implications in North Carolina as well as nationally. And WRAL's Laura Levine has this big shakeup in state politics. Good morning, Laura.
Jeff, good morning. Republican Senator Thom Tillis said his decision was not a hard one. In fact, he said he wants to spend more time with his family. Yet this big announcement came only a day after he was one of two other Republicans who voted against Trump's sweeping agenda bill here. So he took to X over social media this weekend, expressing concern about the impact that cuts to Medicaid would have on North Carolinians. Trump then threatened to back a primary challenger to his seat in next year's election. Tillis' Senate seat in North Carolina will be crucial for Republicans to keep next year if they want to maintain their narrow majority in the chamber. After his surprise announcement, Tillis said in a statement, "I look forward to having the pure freedom to call the balls and strikes as I see fit and representing the great people of North Carolina." Political analyst David McLennan weighs in on how this will impact decision-making while he is still in office.
He can continue voting against the big, beautiful bill and for or against whatever he thinks serves North Carolina the best. So he's no longer beholden to running for re-election.
And Tillis once again criticizing the bill last night as senators continue to debate the bill. Meanwhile, President Trump is calling for this bill to get to his desk by this Friday, July 4th. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Several candidates are already working on their campaigns to take over Tillis' seat. Businessman Andy Nilsen, who previously ran for lieutenant governor, and former congressional candidate Don Brown are both running to be a Republican candidate for Senate. On the Democratic side, former U.S. Representative Wiley Nickel announced the launch of his campaign in April. WRAL talked to Nickel after Tillis' announcement.
Donald Trump is going to handpick Tom Tillis' successor. That's what we're talking about. Somebody who will be completely loyal to Donald Trump and have his interests in, front and center, not the interests of the folks here in North Carolina. That's a big reason why I'm running for the U.S. Senate.
The open seat could attract more prominent Republicans into the 2026 race, including U.S. Representative Pat Harrigan and Republican National Committee Chairman Michael Whatley.
Breaking news this morning, law enforcement in Idaho have lifted a lockdown at a scene of a sniper attack. This after authorities believe they found the body of the person they say was responsible for shooting and killing 2 firefighters. Yesterday afternoon, someone fired shots at firefighters while they were responding to a brush fire. 2 of them were killed. Another was taken to the hospital. Law enforcement is calling this an ambush shooting.
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush and it was intentional. And we do believe that he started it, and it was totally intentional what he did.
Investigators have yet to release the names of the firefighters.
2 women are recovering after a shooting on Calvary Drive in Raleigh. It happened at the Libido Bar and Lounge Sunday morning. WRAL Breaking News Tracker was there. When officers got to the bar, they found the first woman who had been shot. She is expected to recover. About 6 minutes later, police found the second woman nearby at the intersection of Capitol Boulevard and Spring Forest Road. She is also expected to recover. Anyone with information about the shooting should call Raleigh police. No suspects are in custody at this time.
A man is dead and a 15-year-old girl is injured after a shooting in Durham. This happened shortly before 11 Sunday morning on Reservoir Street. That's near Durham Tech Community College. Police say the man and girl were found shot inside a home. They were both taken to the hospital. The man was later pronounced dead. The girl is expected to recover. Police have not released the names of either victim or any information about possible suspects.
A new milestone for Blue Origin. Blue Origin's new Shepard rocket blasted off from the company's launch site in West Texas over the weekend. 6 people were on board for the 10-minute mission to space. This was Blue Origin's 33rd new Shepard suborbital launch, also its 13th crewed mission. An earlier June 21st launch attempt was scrubbed over wind concerns at that site.
438 torn apart by tornadoes. Major storms hit parts of the Midwest. The damage we are seeing this morning.
Vaccine skepticism. Fewer people are getting their shots, and it's leading to a spread in some diseases. The national health concern on the rise.
Our hot streak continues today. This is a live look in Zebulon as we wait for the sun to rise. Meteorologist Chris Michaels is tracking the chance for some tropical development and our increased chance for storms.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
442, a happy Monday to you. Got the tower outside of our studios here in Western Boulevard lit in purple as we see a few more clouds moving in, a few high-level clouds, nothing that's getting in the way of temperatures rising. Your morning cup of coffee at 5 o'clock will be in the mid-70s, 7 o'clock, upper 70s by 9 o'clock. We're already in the low to mid 80s. Temperatures rising quickly once again. Today, we're in the mid 90s across much of our area. Roanoke Rapids 92, Fayetteville at 96, Wake County at about 95. Similar case in areas like Johnston and Harnett counties. Now, farther to the west, we're tracking this front. This is going to bring in an increased chance of storms on Tuesday. One or two of those could be on the strong side. I'll show you the timeline coming up in less than 5 minutes.
Cleanup efforts are underway after extreme weather hit South Dakota. Communities there are assessing the damage done by Saturday night storms after several tornadoes touched down. One of the homes hit by a tornado was unoccupied at the time, but was left with extensive damage to its roof and other structures nearby. A second home was hit and leveled. There was one man inside who was hurt, and his dog is now missing.
The supervisor of Nash County's animal shelter has been fired. County leaders confirmed the firing to WRAL after a report revealed instances of no water, dirty litter boxes, and a lack of medical care at the facility. WRAL's Flynn Snyder got a look inside the shelter and spoke with the county's manager, who called the findings disappointing.
Kennels and cages at the Nash County Pet Connection Center house animals eager for a forever home. A report released this week from North Carolina's Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services says some cats and dogs here were not properly cared for.
We have taken some disciplinary action. We've made some changes in leadership.
Nash County Manager Stacy Schatzer says Shelter Supervisor Matthew Ingram was fired after the report's release, which says 3 animals were euthanized before a required minimum 72-hour period. Among other violations, it says Ingram was not truthful with the state investigator, that the shelter failed to clean enclosures, and did not give some animals proper veterinary care, resulting in $6,700 in fines. Schatzer says officials need to make sure staff are trained properly and following the law to increase public trust.
Why wasn't that not being done before?
I mean, I can't answer that. At this point, all I can say is it's been revealed to us, and so all we can do is act on it, and that's what we're doing.
And in an effort to boost that public trust, the shelter hosted an adoption event Saturday, hoping to have families take these animals home while also getting people in to work here to staff the facility.
Chris Carey oversees administrative operations at the shelter. He says a staffing shortage is among the facility's biggest challenges.
I have met with the state inspector, and I have come up with a corrective action plan that we are going to conduct and move forward, and the state has offered to work by our side and get us in the right direction.
You're a good girl.
Lillian Klein left the adoption event with a new dog named Blondie. She and others said the report shocked them, given positive experiences with staff in the past.
Sometimes things happen, and the transparency, the doing the report, doing everything, managing things, I think that's to be commended.
Nash County has just under 60 days to either pay the fines or appeal the penalties. Flynn Snyder, WRAL News, Rocky Mount.
County officials held on-site interviews last weekend for people interested in working at the shelter.
DMV offices across the state are now serving walk-in customers all day long. Those customers who don't have an appointment no longer have to wait until noon to be seen. This change is significant considering the heat wave we're in right now. People who have been waiting outside for hours. DMV is also adding more Saturday hours beginning July 12th.
North Carolina is seeing its first case of measles as outbreaks spread across the U.S. Some health leaders point to declining vaccination rates as a driving force behind the spread. Kevin Uretsky has a warning from 2 mothers who would not wish their plight on anyone.
Vaccine hesitancy in the U.S. is fueling a comeback for not only contagious but preventable diseases. While years of scientific data have proved vaccines as safe, anti-vaccine activists have long argued that these shots pose a threat, often pointing to the rare risks of side effects.
Because vaccines have been so effective, they've actually become victims of their own success, meaning young parents, for example, don't see the diseases killing children.
For some Americans, the news of lower immunization rates are bringing back memories of a time when illnesses like measles and whooping cough changed their families' lives forever.
I know what can happen, and I just, don't want anybody else to go through this.
80-year-old Janeth Farnham has been aiding her daughter through everyday life for decades. While there is a vaccination against rubella now, it didn't exist when her daughter was born.
As time went on, she had added the diabetes, glaucoma. You add in autistic behaviors.
Farnham is urging young adults to give their child the MMR shot to prevent against measles, mumps, and rubella. She's part of a larger group of Americans advocating for continued childhood immunization.
Let's just vaccinate these kids and the people around us. Otherwise, we're all going to die from something that's preventable. And that's the scary part in the world.
At just 37 days old, Katie Van Tornhout's daughter died because of whooping cough after she was exposed to someone who did not get their booster shot.
We paid the ultimate price. I don't care who you are. You don't deserve to lose a child.
That was Kevin Uretsky reporting. MMR is a required vaccine for public and private school students in North Carolina. The most recent data from the state health department shows 93% of kindergartners statewide are up to date.
There are fewer delays this morning at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. This is after severe weather over the weekend disrupted operations at the airport. At one point, there were more than 1,200 canceled or delayed flights. Cancellations and delays come as millions of Americans are expected to travel for the 4th of July holiday. And as of the latest check here this morning, there were 25 delays, 1 cancellation at the airport. Talking about Hartsfield-Jackson, that size airport, that's not bad. That's
I was
not
about
too
to
many,
say,
right?
yeah, 25 delays for there. Not like it would be here. So.
And it looks clear in Atlanta.
Yeah, it looks clear for now. Some of those summer storms, even here over the weekend, were packing a punch. I was in Fuquay and Holly Springs on Saturday, and it was absolutely pouring. That's not the case now, but we have a frontal system coming in out of the west that's going to start to bring in more storms, especially tomorrow. Here's midday today, and you see the typical mountains in the foothills, Piedmont areas, seeing their storms popping up. After about 3 or 4 p.m., we'll see some scattered storms favoring our western counties, whereas our eastern counties are mainly dry. Overnight hours, nice and quiet. Out the door tomorrow morning, nice and quiet as well. But that front starts to get closer to us later in the afternoon, especially from the evening commute onward tomorrow. That's when we see a decent helping of storms out there. About 60% of the area seeing those storms. 1 or 2 of those could produce localized wind damage, maybe even some flooding as well. Now, that front is going to stall off the East Coast by Thursday. New area of low pressure could form along it by Friday into the weekend, 20% chance of it becoming tropical, but would not go canceling any kind of weekend plans for the beach, for the coastline, just because this is a slim chance for the time being. Here at home, minimal storm chance heating up a bit for the 4th of July with high temperatures in the low to mid 90s. We've hit the 90s 24 times so far this year, on average 12 through this point. The record through this point in the year was 31 times in 1944, and we'll do it again today. Hour by hour, if you're taking the kids to the pool and have the day off, temperatures upper 80s, near 90 by midday, with high temperatures today in the mid 90s prior to some of those hit or miss storms. Tomorrow, 92 the high prior to the evening storms that push through. Look at that. Wednesday, it's a cold snap. High temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but it's not like we're really going to cool things off beyond that front I was showing you. In time for the holiday weekend, storm chances holding them only at 20%, and high temperatures back to about 90 to 95 degrees.
Chris, thank you. Abducted by conspiracy theorists. Emma Stone gets kidnapped in her next role. We get a first look at the dark comedy.
Also, exclusive hours. Costco is making changes to its hours of operation. The new perk to being an executive member. Vin Diesel gives a preview for the final Fast and Furious movie.
And we get a sneak peek at Emma Stone's latest role. Rick Damigella has today's Hollywood Minute.
Let's go for a little ride.
The final Fast and the Furious film may have a surprise for fans. Variety reports Vin Diesel teased the return of the late Paul Walker's character during an appearance at the Fuel Fest car convention. The actor did not provide more details, but said fans can expect to see the 11th movie in the franchise in April 2027.
The workers gather pollen for the queen.
Good morning, Corey.
Emma Stone gets kidnapped in her latest role. Begonia finds the actress playing a high-powered CEO who is abducted by conspiracy theorists believing she is an alien from another planet. Jesse Plemons co-stars in the dark comedy, which is set for release in October. An anime hit comes to an end. Here's a sneak peek at the latest film in the Demon Slayer franchise, Infinity Castle. This is the first of a planned 3-part finale to the global sensation and will hit North American theaters on September 12th. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Major cities around the country wrapped up their Pride Month celebrations with parades and marches. Cities like Minneapolis, Chicago, San Francisco, and New York celebrated the last weekend of Pride Month. Many parades shared a theme of unity and love for all. The Pride parades came just days after the 10th anniversary of same-sex marriage being recognized nationwide.
Starting today, Costco is changing its hours. Executive upper-level members can take advantage of exclusive shopping hours, with stores opening an hour earlier at 9 a.m. just for them. Saturday hours will be extended as well. Beginning July 5th, stores will stay open until 7 p.m. for all members.
Big buyer talks. TikTok may have found a new owner. The future for the social media app as another deadline to sell approaches.
Danger on the roads. This holiday weekend, we will see increased law enforcement. The safety push to protect lives this 4th of July.
And election shakeup. North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis won't run for re-election. The potential ramifications for his new seat.